Hi, welcome back. This is Daryl Brooks, and we're going to be talking about some serious issues out here in our community. It's Christmas time coming up, and we have a more violent than ever. Our streets and cities and suburbs are more violent than ever, and we have a moral obligation to stand up for what's right and challenge our system. You know, Martin Luther King said that we're all caught up in this great inescapable network of mutuality tied in the single garment of destiny, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly, and that I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be, and you can never be what you ought to be unless I am what I ought to be. Then he quotes John Donne, the poet, and says that no man is an island, every man is a piece of the continent or part of the main. Then he goes on to say that any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind. Therefore, never send to know whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. And this we should be as a society. And we're not doing this. We're not challenging our young people. And hello, Michael and Therese and Marshall. Hello. You know, our society has, you know, it's getting worse than ever before. You know, our politicians have let us down, our preachers have let us down, our you know, it's terrible. Our political, religious, and also community activists have let us down. And, you know, it's time that we change society. We have to stand up. I was on the bus the other day and I saw these young kids. They were cursing and screaming and you know, and calling each other's names and calling the people on the bus names. And then one kid got off the bus and started urinating on the sidewalk, and that was really disturbing to me. You know, what are our kids turning to? What type of society are we headed? And having been one conversation with two young boys, and they said they were like 15 years old, 15, 16, and they felt that society has let them down. The society has turned their back. And have we done that? Yes, a lot of us have turned their back on, you know, on these young kids. You know, our kids are graduating from high school, whether you're in the city, inner city or suburbs, are graduating with the 5th, 6th grade reading level. So the idea of what types of jobs are they going to have? You know, what are we going to do to make it better for our young people? You know, our young people are, like I said, they're graduating from the 5th, 6th grade reading level, from Trenton High to Ewing, Lawrence, and other high schools around our state. And what types of jobs? Are they going to be service workers generation where they graduate and go work at McDonald's and Burger King and Target? What type of, you know, life is that? When they're going to be making 12 or 13 hours an hour? Well, we have other people, young people from other countries coming to our country, and then they're making, by the time they finish high school and college, and they're going to make an 80, 90, 100, 110, $120,000 a year. You know, we have to do something. As Christians, I'm going to say this to our people. As Christians, we have a moral obligation to do what's right for our young people. You know, what did Jesus say? Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Pray for those who despitefully use you. Love everybody. He just didn't say love some people or like people. He says love everybody. And we have a moral obligation as Christians to love everybody and love our kids. And by loving our kids, making sure they are safe, making sure they have the right education, that they can succeed to a better society. And we haven't done that. And it bothers me that we have that problem. For too long, Martin Luther King, if you ever heard his speeches, he talked about this. He talked about this in the 60s. From his speeches, Where Do We Go From Here speech. What church should be like. The guidelines to a constructive church. One of his speeches called But If Not. And, you know, he talked about these things of war and poverty and evil. And, you know, we have an obligation to stand up for what's right for our people. You know, no longer should be acceptable from our politicians that, you know, everything is going to be all right and we keep voting for them and everything is going to be all right. And, You know, the ideas that they're coming up with is all-night basketball events, and you know, let's take it to the movies, and let's go to different events. No, 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 no. It's time for change, people. It's time. We're in the 21st century. We should be dealing with 21st century ideas to make our youth and education better for our kids. You know, math, science, engineering, and starting at a young age. Our kids need that. You know, they want to do great things. And we have to have, you know, great expectations for our kids. We have to let our kids know that, yeah, you can be a scientist, a mathematics genius, and you can fly planes, and you can build drones, and you can find a cure for cancer, and you could do great things. Yes, and you can build a new car, and you know, all these different things that our kids need to make it in life. But you know, our younger kids, they don't see that. They see a world where, you know, the media is, you know, talking violent. They see the media of lies, and they see our politicians is coming by on every election and knocking on their door and saying hi, and they feel hopeless. You know, they tell me this stuff, and it's sad. You know, even when we look at our water problem, we have a water problem in our city, and water problem around the state. I mean, you know, you can't drink the water, you can't shower in the water, and our water is just like almost like to the point of Flint, Michigan, where people can't drink the water in Flint, Michigan. They can't take showers, they can't cook with it, and so, you know, people, we have a moral obligation to stick up for our people. In America, whether they're black, white, or Hispanic, we have obligation. We're all one people. We're all one. That's what Dr. King, you know, talked about. You know, and Jesus, you know, love everybody. You know, and how can we be as Christians and go to church on Sunday morning and allow and see all the violence that we have in our society, all the violence in our school systems, and claim that we are Christians and working a middle class people and go home and be happy. And you know, I got mine, and you know, and you better get yours. If you don't get yours, you're sorry. You know, you're not. Oh well. And as Christians, we can't think like that. You know, that's why Jesus said, love everybody. He doesn't say love some people or you should like some people. No, Jesus said love everybody. And, you know, Martin Luther King, you know, this in this quote, you know, we're all caught up in this great inescapable network of mutuality, tied in the single garment of destiny. We're all the same. We're all part of this one destiny. So, you know, we should do for each other, you know, love each other and develop real programs that work. You know, a few years ago, I brought Dr. Bernard Lafayette to the city of Trenton, and he was Martin Luther King's aide, and he talked about nonviolence education. You know, and in our communities, we need the nonviolence education. Our kids are inundated with so much violence. Hold on for a second, I'm drinking this good coffee. So our kids are inundated with so much violence. Violence in home, violence on television, violent video games. And one of the things that, you know, Dr. Lafayette said, you know, it's a serious problem. You know, when our kids are playing Grand Theft Auto, which is a violent video game, and our parents, you know, give them a video game and let them sit by themselves and play video games of killing and violence and rape and murder. And so, and you wonder why our society is like this. Our young kids is like this, especially boys, when they're playing violent video games. You wonder why our girls are getting pregnant at 12, 13, 14 years old when they're watching Bad Girls and they're watching Atlanta Housewives and Love and Hip Hop, and they're acting out. Because once again, we're allowing our kids to watch these crazy television shows, our young girls, and the young girls are thinking that this is acceptable. You know, we have to change, people, and we have a moral obligation to do what's right for our people. And you know, and it is sad, and we see violence all around the world. Our young people watching violent video games and at home and arguing with their brothers and sisters, picking up guns, shooting each other at 15, 16 years old. And, you know, that's why I always talked about nonviolence education, because it's important that we have a nonviolent education program in school. You know, we all cry about in our cities, Trenton, Camden, Newark, Philadelphia. Oh, how do we stop the violence? Well, there are ways of stopping violence. But the idea is, do you really want violence to stop? And if we wanted violence to stop, you know, especially by our politicians around the city of Trenton and Camden and Newark, you know, and pastors and community activists, you know, we could change. You know, violence will never stop, but there's certain types of violence that we can handle and we can focus on, and our children want that. Our children want to stop violence. They're angry. They're upset. What are they angry about? You know, they don't. A lot of the kids are angry because they don't have food on the table. A lot of kids are angry because they don't have the proper clothes. A lot of kids are angry because they're not able to express themselves. They lack the education, the educational needs to read a paper and to read and do math. And so, and they see all the violence and all the cursing and the language at home and in school, and that's the angry environment. And they don't see the love. You know, they see us as Christians, you know, say lock them up, throw away the key, and that's what we're doing. You know, we still have more kids going to jail than ever before. What type of society is that? What as Christians, as you know, and how we think as Christians, we really need to focus what Dr. King talked about. You know, that abundant love that we have for each other. You know, we have to do something. We have to do something now. No longer should be acceptable all-night basketball nights and entertaining. We love singing and dancing and taking the kids to partying and all night this and on the street corners and having parties and basketball and football and all these different things, dress all black and dress up all white events. And our society is going totally mad around us. And our leadership really need to really step up to the plate. You know, I'm willing to step up to the plate, and you know, I'm making a call to everybody. We have to do something. We have a moral obligation, especially as Christians, and we really need to step up, people. And I'm begging you. You know, when I saw the young kid just getting off the bus and on a street corner just urinating, that's what our kids are thinking now. It's okay to just urinate on the street. It's okay to get on a bus and degrade black and white and old and young, and you know, this the expression on these people's faces was like, it was so terrible. And you know, they're so hurt. And you know, and listen, some politicians may see this, some religious leaders, listen, you're not doing what you should be doing. You know, you want people to vote for you, and you know, you haven't done what you said you was going to do. And no longer today should we just, you know, you give out turkeys and yeah, come vote for me, and give out some food on Christmas and turkey on Thanksgiving and give out Christmas gifts. You know, that's the easy stuff. That's easy. Let's work on dealing with issues on violence and making sure our kids get proper education, making sure our young people have a safe haven place to go to and learn and educate themselves. And, you know, we need this society. We need this to our society. We really need this. And, you know, if we keep allowing our kids to play more violent video games, watch more violent television, movies out there, you know, it's not getting any better. It's not getting any better. And it's not going to get any better. You know, and we all got listen to Martin Luther King, what he talked about. He was probably one of the greatest preachers I've ever heard, greatest patriot. And do we want a service workers generation where all our young kids are only thing they're able to do is work at McDonald's and work at Burger King and work at Target and make 11, 12, 13 bucks an hour, and they actually think that's a good job? We have to re-educate our young people, and there's ways to do it. When I say that, you know, I'm doing research and there's ways to do it, people, we have to step up to the plate. And if we don't step up to the plate, then we're going to have a mad society. And do we want that? Do we want that 10, 15 years from now? We see the sadness of our young people and parents today. Do we want these young kids to have more children, and you see what they're like? What imagine they're 10, 15 years from now when they're parents and what they're going to be like. So it's about 15 minutes, and I'd like to thank you all for listening and watching. God has blessed me to allow me to have the capable to talk about these serious issues and video. And I like to say, thank you for watching. But we have to have an obligation, a moral obligation to do something better for our young kids, to stand up for what's right, have better drinking water for our people, not just young kids, for as a people in the city of Trenton and also around the state. We have to re-educate our kids and make sure our kids have the proper education that they need to take it to the next level, that 21st century jobs. We have to find out ways to, do more of a moral program, when I say the moral issue, all right, what's inside a person's heart? Our young kids and just people in general. We're more violent, angry than ever before. We're more, it's just that moral that's, we all struggle with that. And we all struggle to do what's right. And we have a more obligation to do what's right, especially as Christians. We have to, just focus on doing what's right for our people. And whether our people are black, white, or Spanish, as Christians. And you're not doing that. And it hurts me to see the anger of young people, the anger of older, especially senior citizens, to have a conversation with them and think it's not getting any better. And it has to get better. As Christians, we have to, as preachers, the preachers have to preach the right sermons that will motivate young people, motivate people that we will make it better, that we will change society, that things are going to get better. Things may be dark and bleak, but it will get better. And as a Christian, that's what I believe. And we have to believe that, people. We have to seriously believe that. We have to believe that God is on our side. God is in the shadows. Quote Dr. King, he said, "True forever on the scaffold, true forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways the future, and behind the dim unknown stands God within the shadows, keeping watch above his own." People, God is with us. God is watching us. God is in the shadows of us, keeping watch, as Dr. King said, keeping watch above his own. We're our own people. God is watching us, and God is by our side, but we have to do what's right. And if we won't do what's right, and then what type of society we're going to have? God has pulled us through slavery and civil rights, and God has pulled us through the violence that we have around society as black and white people, racism and bigotry and sexism and classism. It's about us as a people, whether you're black or white. We definitely have to come together. Whether it's Tea Party to liberal left, everybody has to come together to make our society better. Praying for our politicians, praying for our president. He's our president, and we have to love him because he needs our prayers. Trump needs our prayers. He's a Republican, okay? And our Democrats, we gave our prayers to Obama, and our Democrats need prayer because they have to do what's right. We have to really focus on doing what's right for our politicians, praying for our president, praying for our people in Congress, people, our governor in our state. We have to allow them to make proper change and do what's right. We need that for our young people, and our politicians need to know that we are watching them, that we want a better society, and we want our kids educated. We want jobs, and that's how we will help our society, by more prayer, doing the right thing, morally right thing as a country, as a society, as a people. We have to do morally what's right for our people. So I thank you all. God bless. I'm long-winded, and I'm drinking this nice hot cup of coffee right here. Thank you. God bless. I'm having fun. To all the ones, Rachel, Will, Christopher, and Francis, and Tony Jackson, and William Watson, and Teresa, Michael. Hey, how you doing? God bless. I just want you all to know that God is watching us and our society, and we have to do what's morally right for our young people and make things better and move our young people to focus on to the 21st century of education. Okay? God bless. Peace, soul. I am out of here. Fight for freedom and equality. Freedom, equality, and be always standing up for what's right. Goodbye.